And we're back. Clayton Bailey, Green Scene Home Inspections, bringing you the green segment to Celebrity U Radio. Wanted to give a moment to talk about some green updates that you can do in your home. First off, change your HVAC filters in your home. It's coming up on wintertime. Good time to do that. Use a draft snake under your door, a little beanbag thing that goes in your doorways to block those drafty air from moving from one room to the other. Run your fan in reverse. Sometimes it's hard for people to, get up there and flip that switch, but now is the time you want to flip that switch to make your fans run backwards. Set your water heaters at 120 degrees and insulate them. Very inexpensive to do. A programmable thermostat is also a very inexpensive upgrade that can save between $180 and $300 a year. Amazing. Now is a good time to caulk and weather strip, when it's cold, wear warmer clothing in your house rather than changing the thermostat. And also insulate your pipes. All this information brought to you by Green Scene Home Inspections. Well, I introduce my next guest. Very excited to have him. Wonderful technology that he does. John McGinnis, who is a LED lighting lightsaber aficionado. So I'll let him kind of introduce himself and his company and find out where we can find him.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Clayton. My name is John McGinnis with KPET Enterprises. Low Power Green is our lighting company. We're an electrical engineering company, and we developed some of our own lighting products based on using LED, light-emitting diode type technology. You can find us at kpet.com or lowpowergreen.com and see some of our products we have out there.
Cool. So how does an LED light work?
A light-emitting diode light.
Okay.
But what it does is that it actually uses electricity like any other light.
Okay.
But instead of having a gas like an incandescent or a fluorescent, it actually uses a chemical that is excited and lights up when you give it electricity. And it's full electronic. You can put your finger on it, drop it, get it wet, and it still works.
Now, and how long has LED lights? How long have they been around?
They've been around pretty much for a century. They were invented by
100 years.
100 years.
Wow.
They've been around for quite a while. Just as that you've seen them for quite a while, being little indicator lights. They were the older technology. The newer technology gets much brighter than the little indicator lights we used to have.
Okay. So if I want to break this down because you and I spoke about this, and I think people get LED, and then we've got them compact fluorescent bulbs, and they've got incandescent bulbs, and they're like, I don't know, it's just a light. What are we talking about here? So I want to put this into terms of, let's talk about a 60-watt incandescent bulb, which our grandmothers used. That's what Thomas Edison, that's what everybody's used to, the old school screw-in 60-watt bulb versus the little squiggly compact fluorescent bulbs that we're now seeing a lot in stores, and it's very readily available to us. And then we have the LED technology. So this is kind of the next phase of lighting, except it kind of did what the cell phone did to the landline, what the laptop did to the desktop, that kind of thing. This is the newest thing, yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, eventually probably everything will be what's called solid-state lighting, which is LED lighting. It's much more efficient. It lasts a lot longer. Let's take a comparison of the three. So if you have an incandescent bulb, 60 watts, you're using 60 watts per hour if you have it on. With a fluorescent light, compact fluorescent one, the squiggly bulbs, a lot of people call them, you put one of those in, they can be anywhere between 23 to 25 watts for about the same type of light. You do an LED, you can be 5-7 watts with the same kind of light.
5 to 7 watts.
Correct.
Versus 60 watts.
Correct.
Huge. Now, I also want to talk about the lifespan of those three bulbs and what's...
Well, what you have is that an incandescent bulb, I'm sure you're used to. I mean, you change them out about every year or so. I mean, the Department of Energy says about every 9 months you'll change one out. A compact fluorescent light, one of the squiggly ones, you'll change out maybe once every, it can be from 9 months to 2 years, just depending upon a lot of different factors. With an LED light, it can be anywhere from 8 to 20 years before you change it out.
Wow. Okay, so that being said, we've got the low cost, low cost, because you're using an eighth of what a 60 watt would use. They last a lot longer, so now comes the bad news of the cost.
They're more expensive. But that's only because of the fact that they're just coming to the market. I mean, we've seen everything. Cell phones used to be expensive. Computers used to be expensive.
I use that the flat screen TV theory. When flat screen TVs first came out, it was only the kind of wealthy, affluent people that could afford them, and now there's 30 different manufacturers. You can go to your local Tejano grocery store and see
Exactly.
flat screen TVs up there for next to nothing. So this is the newest next wave of lights, folks.
It really is. I mean, as soon as we get more and more being bought, the price will come down. Compact fluorescent lights were around for about 10, 12 years before they really started coming out heavily in the marketplace as the price came down. LED will be the same place. But there is some good government incentives and some other reasons to do it, especially if you have your lights on a lot. Then really using an LED makes a lot of sense because you can get a quick return on your investment by buying the light.
Now, some of these, I know there's a lot of people because I do a lot of green things in the place, and everybody always wants to down with the green. It's not cool, and they throw out the compact fluorescent lights, and then it's like, oh, well, there's mercury in those, and you can't throw those away. And so, tell me about LED lights. How can you dispose of them, and would you or?
Yeah, you really would. What happened is an LED light is completely safe for the environment as compared to a compact fluorescent. However, what we tell everybody is don't throw it away. Send it back to me because I can fix it.
Recycle.
Recycle. We actually reuse it. We can fix it and sell it as a refurb.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. You heard it here.
And that's how they get cheaper, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
What happens is that once we get enough built that are enough refurbed ones, then we can put them into Home Depot at a lower cost because we already had the one-time manufacturing cost.
Or maybe even help low-income people be able to save on their money in that way and do some things good. Yeah.
There's a lot of flexibility we have with it because we can reach, just like you get your TV fixed, you get your radio fixed. At this point in time, you can get your light fixed because it's an electronic device.
So what kinds of? Oh, I'm sorry.
And it gives no heat, so it
puts off no heat. That's one of the other big things
it gives
that's
off
out
a
there.
little heat,
But
not as
compared to-
bad as a regular bulb.
Yeah.
So what kind of regulations do you see kind of coming down the pipelines? And then kind of tagging on to that question is manufacturing. Is there going to be more manufacturers here in the United States, or is this something that you see in an overseas market?
Actually, there's manufacturing in the States will probably come on pretty strong with LED because it is an electronic device. So, and what you have in regulations, the Department of Energy is coming up with a whole new labeling system, kind of like you have your food labeling system, because it's so hard to understand the lighting now because we're used to a 60 watt, 75 watt, 100 watt bulb. Well, now we are a 7 watt, a 5 watt, a 3 watt, maybe a 10 watt bulb. So we have to get our mind refocused on how bright that is to our eyes as compared to what we used to have with the incandescents.
So I know I deal with a lot of interior designers, that kind of thing, and they talk about the color of the lighting. And so can you pretty much get whatever color you want in LED?
You can get any color you want. The nice part to it, it's a very tight spectrum light, so you're not getting the full visible range where it's
Oh,
stronger
that's
at one
neat.
point. Yeah, one thing is LED lights won't attract bugs because they don't have the UV
Christmas lights.
Christmas lights.
Christmas lights that never die.
but it really is the case to where with the LED light and the color, what you have is that, I mean, when LED lights first came out, they were blue. They had a whitish, bluish tint to them. That's because that's how LEDs burn. But they put a yellow coating on them now to get them down to be white, and then if you put a tighter yellow coating on it, it will come out to be more yellow. So you can get any color LED lighting you want now.
So talking about what do you think is the next step? Like, where are we going to go from here? You talked about the solid.
The solid state lighting, SSL,
Okay.
it's called solid state lighting. That means it's electronic lighting. What you're going to have is that the idea of changing a bulb out eventually will become obsolete because you're only changing them maybe once every 8, 10, 20 years.
Wow.
So it depends on how often you have it on, just like any other light bulb. The idea with it, so now, is that you're looking at, just like when your TV, if you want a new TV, you go and buy a new TV. You don't necessarily, change just the remote or change something else with it. So when it comes to lighting, you'll probably see it more now where it is a decorative thing that's going to be an asset into the house. So it's just a fixture, the bulb, everything about it will be the asset, instead of just that one little lamp or light you put on the wall.
Yeah, 70% of our nation's energy that it's generated through power plants goes into buildings and housing structures, and of that percentage, I'm going to say, I hate to say 70 over again, but 70% of that is used on your HVAC, keeping it hot, cool, and different, and lighting. And so lighting plays a huge factor in cost.
Absolutely. In a commercial building, they can see 40, 50, maybe 60% of their electrical
Oh,
costs
that's
lighting.
yeah.
I mean, it just depends on how much lighting they have, how long they have it on, especially if they're on 24/7. Of course, you've got a lot of lighting going on.
Lowers your rent, and a lot of times the tenants pay the utilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you own a big apartment complex, this might be a direction you want to
Yeah.
Anything you do, and even if you have some old lighting you want to change out, I mean, the way I would change it out is go to LED right now because it's going to be your
Well, you own the company, and
well,
so
of course,
yeah,
you buy my product when you do it, too. So,
Yeah.
But
no, for real though, if you want to, let's say a family says, okay, I want to adopt, I kind of want to go this new LED way. I've just replaced all my squiggle bulbs, and so are you replacing them kind of one by one? Are you kind of looking at certain target areas?
Yeah, because of the cost, normally what we do is we look at areas where the lights are on more often. I mean, if you got a closet that's on, 3 minutes
Porch
a day,
light.
a
I'm thinking porch light.
Yeah.
there's a lot of family room lights, outside lighting, stuff that you really have on all the time. So that makes more of a sense to go towards with the more expensive lighting than it is to, replace something that's on 3 minutes a day.
Got you.
What about motion lights and floodlights? That's a question out of the chat. The
chat
Twitter.
room? Yeah,
the Twitter.
great
Is it
question.
Chitter?
Chitter.
Yeah, chitter. I like that.
Motion sensors will work the same with, it's a light bulb, it'll still work just the same as anything else. It will come on when the motion detector senses motion. Same thing is we have dimmable lights, so you can actually dim the LEDs the same as you can do any other bulb.
So the outside lights, I guess the answer to the question is yeah.
Yeah.
So
Floodlights, will they give that much? Do they give that much light like that?
Oh, yeah, they're equivalent to any light bulb.
Okay.
So going back to that cost comparison, a 60 watt, an incandescent, and an LED price. 50 cents for the
50 cents for an incandescent. Let's face it, they're cheap at Walmart.
Yep.
You get the compacts if you buy them in a pack of 6 or 7. You can get them for like $15 or something.
Okay.
And then with a standard 80 watt or 60 watt type equivalent LED would be about $20.
Okay, and then
That's
let's
not
talk
bad.
about cost effectiveness and how long it takes to kind of.
Well, that's just it. The nice part to it, especially if you put it up like in your cathedral ceiling or something, you're not getting that ladder out, having to change out that light bulb all the time because it's going to last probably as long as you could be in your house. 10 years, maybe even longer if it's not on that long. So your cost saving comes back pretty quick. When you look at it, you're going from a 60 watt bulb to a 5 watt bulb. That's 55 watts an hour when that light's on that you're saving. You can do the math and figure it out. And if electric costs really start getting back up there again, that's when you're really going to see people saying, what can I do to lower my electricity? And that's really when you'll see LED.
And a selling point to your home. Imagine someone comes in, we got all LED lighting, and they go, oh, well, never change a light bulb.
There you go.
Well, it's actually the case. If you convert your entire building over to LED lighting, it increases the asset value of that building because it's no longer a throwaway like a light bulb is. It's actually something that has value.
Yeah, you don't have those maintenance guys coming in and doing all that stuff too.
That's right.
So I think a lot of our viewers are probably used to your standard screw-in style bulb, but do you do LEDs with your tube?
We also do fluorescent tube replacements, like the 4-foot tube and such.
Okay.
We actually have also replaced the high bays, like you see in gymnasiums, and there's street lights that are LED. There's stop lights. There are a lot of LED stop lights out there right now. So LEDs really starting to come into the world. In certain niches, I think the first place was really with stop lights, and then it came into street lights. And now you're really starting to see more coming indoors, which is where my drive is.
I've noticed, and it's not really necessarily your industry because you're more housing, residential, and commercial, but a lot of car manufacturers are now using LEDs as well as truck drivers. You see a lot of trucks on the highways. They're not using the one great big bulb. They're using a lot of teeny tiny.
Yeah, the nice part to it is that when one bulb goes out, you still have a headlight, you still have a tail light.
Yeah.
That's the same reason with the stoplights too. The little LED goes out, it doesn't.
Did we have a question from the chitter room?
I'll wait till you're done.
Chitter room.
The chitter room. Well, we're wrapping it up here shortly. We've got about 30 seconds left. I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can find you, and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter.
Our website is www.lowpowergreen.com. That's where you can see some of our current products for in the commercial world. We're going to be including more products on it. On Twitter, it's just John McGinnis TX for Texas is my Twitter account, and I'm on Facebook and John McGinnis right now. We're going to be setting up our KPAT accounts pretty soon here. We just haven't gotten them all done.
Awesome. Well,
And they can buy these things from you?
Oh yeah, we're selling them. I've got some in some restaurants here in town and everything.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our green episode for the week. Clayton Bailey, Green Scene Home Inspections, signing out, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're going to come back with our Jimmy Ryan, and he's all dressed up. And our dear love, I just love Jimmy. I've known him he's been working with him so long. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about really bad radio, and y'all are in for a treat. So stick around. At the top of the hour, we'll be back with Travis Blythe, Corner 6 Labs, interviewing Jimmy Ryan of Really Bad Radio.